Hello, my name is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. This is my boyfriend Ed, and we wanted to do a sort of trip debrief from our trip where we backpacked into the Great Sand Dunes National Park here in Colorado. There were some pieces of gear that worked out really well, that were awesome and were definitely our favorite, and then there were a couple of pieces that left some things wanting. And there are one or two things that, in hindsight, we wish we would have done a little bit differently during the trip itself. So we'll talk about the two things that we wish we would have just maybe planned differently or done a little bit differently, and then we'll get into the gear.
So the first thing we wish we had done a little bit differently is that we wish we'd gone deeper into the dune field before we set up camp. After the kind of initial climb, and we thought we found kind of a good spot. And we changed our minds after, it wasn't very long, I don't think.
Maybe 2 hours tops.
Yeah, packed it all back up and moved it a little bit further in. But I think I would have liked to have gone, I don't know.
Not even that much further, just like one or two
maybe
dunes
10 or 20 minutes worth.
Yeah. And part of that is definitely kind of my fault, because after we finally got up High Dune, when we got up High Dune, we realized that there was just a big valley behind it, so we had to hook a right and keep going over and up to get further in. So that was kind of frustrating. I thought we were going to be able to do more of a straight shot back over and into the dune fields, and we were carrying a lot of weight because we had to carry a lot of water. So after we sat down and ate lunch, I was like, we're setting up here. So I think I should have eaten, drank some water, rested up a little bit more, and then just toughed it out for a little bit longer, because we ended up having to pack up and move in deeper anyway. But yeah, I do wish we had gone further in. So note to self for me next time, be a little tougher. But the second thing that I wish we would have done differently is also kind of my bad. The second day that we were there, I kind of took my sweet time, getting up, getting dressed, getting food, all that kind of stuff. So we ended up only doing a day hike out to Hidden Dune, which was beautiful. It was awesome. I love that we got to go do that. But we had been planning on also day hiking to Star Dune. So we were kind of thinking that we would eat breakfast, go day hike out to one of the dunes, come back to base camp, eat lunch, and then go day hike out to the other, because they are in opposite directions from where we chose to camp. But because I kind of took a long time getting up, and I'm a night owl, I don't get up early, I'm not a morning person, I wish that I had gotten up a little bit earlier and maybe had a little more urgency in getting our day going, so that we could have gone to both. But it just saves something for us to do next time, because we would love to go backpack to the dunes again, maybe where there's a new moon so we can see more of the stars and the Milky Way and things like that, instead of like we did this last time with a full moon.
Yeah. Dark Sky Preserve, is that what? Yeah.
Yeah. So there are very, very few artificial light sources in the park, and that is intentional, and it's kept to a minimum so that we can see the stars. So I would like to take advantage of that next time.
Yeah.
Right. Moving into gear that was awesome, or that was not so awesome. We're going to start with the absolute worst things.
These are lighters with, I think it's electric ignitions is what it said. Oh, that one did it. Yeah, there we go. That's more of what we had to deal with out there.
So this is the one we actually brought. We didn't have, there we go. See, it took, 10 tries to finally light with zero wind. It's not cold out, anything like that. So this was a little bit of a frustrating thing to deal with. We were trying to find a normal lighter, but...
Yeah, we asked at the store for a normal lighter, and I don't know, I don't buy lighters much. I'm not a smoker.
Yeah, me either.
But they were, they were like, okay, well, you can buy one with the electric thing like this, or you can buy a 5-pack or 10-pack or whatever it was of the regular ones. And, our questions of, do they work the same and stuff like that, pretty much all got that, it's basically the same response, but you can see, I think you can expect a little more reliability out of a normal flint wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we mean by normal. It's just a little flint wheel that you roll with your thumb instead of just a button that you push. This Ed picked up after we got back, just to see if this one was maybe a fluke or something like that. But this one also has some issues reliably lighting even indoors. This is the
It's
best
a
that it
lot
has
better.
worked.
Yeah, and I thought maybe the little stem, the barrel would help too,
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
not really.
yeah, there's not enough that you can do with these. So we're thinking about getting a nice Zippo or some kind of a camping lighter that
Yeah.
we can.
We struggled with a fair amount of wind out in the dunes, and it did not play well with these lighters. As you can see, like the purple one is struggling enough to light when there is no wind. So trying to get it to light our camp stove was really frustrating. We ended up using like the food bags and like our jug of water and like our bodies and things like that to try and make a windscreen around our stove. So we got it lit and everything. It was fine. But I would not bring this again, and I would not rely on it at all. It just has not performed well enough. And this one works a little better, but still, even inside, it lights maybe 1 out of 3 tries. And then again, if you took it outside and it was really windy, or if it was really cold overnight and feels a little cold or whatever, I think you would have issues with this one too. So we're gonna stick with the little flint wheel ones in the future. Okay, next, I guess it's not really a piece of gear, but it's something that we brought, and it was awesome, and it was kind of a lifesaver, a sanity saver, is this little game called Spy. This is by a company called Gumstick Games, and the name is because they are about the size of a stick of gum. They're not very thick either, and I mean, it's very small, very packable, it weighs almost nothing. So when we were sort of hunkered down in our tent for the evening, when the wind started coming in, we knew that we were going to have to just sit in our tent for several hours because that had happened the night before. And so while we were sitting in the tent, we were able to like sit up and play a couple rounds of Spy instead of just sitting in our tent, because the wind started at like 6 in the evening, so it was nowhere near bedtime. We didn't have too much else to do. I think I packed a book, but I actually didn't crack it open on that trip. So we ended up just playing a couple rounds of this game, and it was really fun. It was really awesome, and it was nice to have something to do. But yeah, very small cards. It was pretty easy to learn, and that's one of their like more complex games that they make, and it was still pretty easy to pick up. So, and that one plays 2 to 4 players, so it worked for just the 2 of us. But if you had a little bit larger of a group, if you could all fit into the same tent while it's raining, or maybe it's just late in the evening and you're just not ready to go to bed, but you're done hiking for the day or whatever, something like this is again packable, very small, and you can play up to 4 players with it. So I was really glad that we brought that game. And this usually stays in my purse. I bring it with me everywhere.
It was really nice for that, especially, 'cause there's some pretty long periods waiting in the tent for weather to calm down or whatever, and it was comfortable enough and everything, but it was nice to have a little entertainment while we were in there too.
Definitely. All right. Next thing that we brought that definitely left some things wanting. We had to pack in all of our own water, and we were there for 2 nights and 3 days, so we just used what we had. So we were recycling this like plastic gallon of water. The thing that I didn't like about this, obviously it did the job just fine going in, right? Like it holds water, stayed in my pack, that part was fine. The part that I didn't like was that when we were packing up and this was empty, it still takes up this much space in my pack. So in the future, I would like to invest in like a hydro pack or like a water cell, drum bag, whatever. There are a lot of options out there for things that are meant to just haul water that actually like collapse back down as you use the water out of it. Because this is very bulky but very lightweight, so it was just kind of sitting in like the top middle of my pack with a bunch of clothes like shoved in around it to keep it from moving. And there could have been a lot more compression and not as much empty space in my pack if we had had a better option than this. But at least it's lightweight. So the next piece of gear that we absolutely loved would be our chipper pads. These ones are from Nemo. There are a couple different companies that make very similar products. I'm pretty sure like Thermarest makes a little seat as well. So there are plenty out there, but we really, really liked these. We used them a lot. We brought them on the day hike, so when we took a break to have a snack or lunch or whatever, we sat on them when we were just hanging out around camp when it wasn't windy and we were hanging out up on one of the dunes, sat on these. They were very nice for the night that it was the full moon and we were out at around midnight. Pretty cold in the desert at night. So the sand was pretty cold. And I don't know if it was actually a little bit damp or if it just felt damp or something. But anyways, cold. And these, since they're made of the same foam that their sleeping pads are made out of, they do actually have a little bit of an R value. So it does help your butt from feeling really, really cold when you're sitting down for a while. Because we were just sitting down and stargazing for a little bit. So it helped keep our butts warm. And it definitely helped because I was wearing shorts. So definitely helped me from just like sitting on a bunch of sand and having sand just like work its way up like the hem of my shorts or anything like that. So these were great.
Mm-hmm. Very comfortable too. I don't know, they don't necessarily look it, but for like a nice little comfortable unfoldable seat, they certainly make the ground a lot easier to sit on.
Mm-hmm. And these particular ones retail for $20. We got them on sale, so we are very happy with like how much we spent for them versus how much we've used them. Because we haven't just used them camping, we have used them doing like yard work and things like that too. Like when we've been out pulling weeds and things like that, we just use this to cushion like our knees or whatever while we're working on like the gravel and things like that. So for as much as we have already used these, and we haven't even owned them for a full year yet, I'm very happy with these. So if you don't have a little butt pad to sit on while you're hiking or camping, I highly recommend one. They're very lightweight. These are maybe a couple ounces. They're maybe a little bulky, but they at least like fold down, and they are very comfortable and convenient to have.
And Nemo, if you're watching, it'd be really neat if this little thing right here with the loop had a little sister on the other side so that you could snap that shut. But still awesome, well worth the money.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next good thing. We're kind of out of bad things already, so luckily we didn't have too many like pieces of gear that we would change. We just had a lot of things that really worked for us that we wanted to talk about.
And that's these sand stakes that we got. They are lightweight. We picked these ones out because they could double for use as a trowel if needed. And they did a really good job of holding everything in place with the tent, and especially in the sand, of course. I would hope that they would, given what they're called, but they were really handy for all of that. And I thought the holes were kind of handy for a couple of things too when we were trying to get some of the straps figured out, or things like that, was it bracing?
So what I thought was really clever that you did, there was, again, lots of wind. So not only was it sandy, it was very windy. So what Ed ended up doing for the vestibule, since the vestibules just had like a loop that would go around this little lip, it kept getting like pulled off because the wind was so strong. Ed ended up taking up one of the regular stakes that we had with us, because we had both just in case. We weren't sure like how compact the top layer of sand was going to be or not. But he actually took one of the regular stakes and put it through one of these holes to hold the loop of the vestibule down so that it couldn't get blown off the top, and that really helped a lot. So I thought that was pretty clever, and again, made use of the little holes that are in here.
Thank you. Yeah. The regular, I don't really ever like the regular kind of stock factory stakes that seem to come with tents. The little looks like an Allen wrench, just like a long round Allen wrench. And this trip didn't change my mind about those at all. They didn't. In their defense, they're not designed for sand.
Right, we were in the worst possible environment for them.
But I haven't seen them work good in regular dirt either.
they really were not working out there. So we brought 6 of these. We bought 6 of them and packed all 6. These particular ones are the REI ones. They are 1 ounce a piece, so they're very lightweight. They're made out of aluminum. So we brought the 6, and there are 8 points that can be staked out on the rainfly of the tent that we used. So we were short 2. And we ended up using the regular stakes, flipped sideways through the loop and tried to make kind of like a dead man's anchor, which worked better than the stakes just going in the ground normal. But when we go do this trip again, I would want to bring a full set of 8 of these sand stakes.
Maybe a couple to spare for the trowels.
Yeah. Or we can just get trowels, but whatever. Yeah, these were great. So.
Yeah,
They
I
definitely
think
did their job very well.
in the process of trying to stomp one into the ground, one of them got a little bit bent up.
I think it's still
We
there.
were able to get it mostly back to the right shape, and it'll still stake down
Yeah.
ties and flies and whatever. But yeah, I guess don't be too hard on them when
Yeah.
you're when you're working on with them.
Or at least make sure you have like a good angle. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what happened. Was it was
Yeah.
like kind of at
It
this
canted
angle.
a little bit as
Yeah.
I was stomping. I think something like that. Anyway.
Yeah.
The other big win was a pair of Gaiters that we got on sale.
So we only had they're Ed's Gators. I didn't
can't
have
remember
Gators.
the
Oh,
brand.
Katula? Like Kahtoola or something like that. Yeah, so I think they're the Katula Insta Gators. And they just have a strap that like loops on the bottom of your foot, and then they just zip up as the gator part that covers your ankle. And I was incredibly jealous of your Gators during this trip.
Yeah, the only time I got sand in my shoes at all was when I tried to climb dunes without the Gaiters on, which was about once in the whole trip, I think. Otherwise, I made them a pretty essential part of my gear when I was walking around, and they were very handy. I had a little trouble putting them on the first couple of times, but then they got pretty easy after that. Got my things figured out, how they were supposed to go on and stuff. Um, Obviously for sand, but really probably for anything. If you don't like having dirt or gravel or whatever in your shoes, I found it super, super handy. And it was nice for, I don't know, just keeping my shoelaces under control and stuff like that too, for that matter.
Yeah. It definitely was a big difference between like the amount of sand that came out of my shoes versus the amount of sand that got poured out of his shoes. So they definitely worked, did their job really well. I definitely am planning on investing in some Gators in the future. So those were a big one. And then our last piece of gear, we saved kind of the best for last. We saved the best for last was a pair of trekking poles. These particular ones are Lucky ones, and they're just twist lock. And these are borrowed from a friend. Sorry, I was covering your face there. These ones are borrowed from a really good family friend. So we only have the one pair, and it definitely made a difference. And I think that difference was like made all the more obvious by like, when it like my turn was over and I had to like hand them back over to Ed. Just that like immediate difference that I felt between hiking up. And again, we were hiking in sand, and these had baskets, so the trekking pole wasn't just sinking. It actually helped out a lot. Yeah, so feeling the difference between when I had them versus when I would hand them back over to Ed and have to keep hiking up the same hill with the same pack. The only thing that was different was that I didn't have these trekking poles anymore. Was huge. So we are absolutely going to be investing in some trekking poles for ourselves, because these were just made us so much better, so much more bearable, I guess.
Well, I could feel my arms getting tired when I was using them, so it seemed like they must be working.
Yeah,
and,
doing something.
Yeah, it made some of the uphills easier. It made some of the downhills easier. And some of the downhills out there are pretty fun. You can just kind of stomp your way down, and that works too. But it was nice for some of the more precarious or kind of balancy ones, and obviously with all the weight on our backs and stuff like that, a little extra stability didn't hurt either. But I think in particular for the climbs is where it really felt like it did a lot and felt a lot better to have them.
The climbs, and I would say the ridge lines too.
Yeah. Balance and stuff.
Yeah, especially because the sand that's at the top of the ridges is usually pretty soft. Yep. So having those to just kind of help keep you balanced was also very nice. So we're definitely going to pick some of these up. All right, do you have anything else? I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think that's everything. It was, I really enjoyed the trip. Looking forward to doing it again. Glad that the vast majority of the gear we brought will serve us well for the next one, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, let us know any of your gear wins or gear failures down below in the comments. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more from us. I'm definitely planning more adventures for us already, so hopefully some more backpacking and camping, and we definitely want to be taking our dog, who has been making his appearance throughout this video, our dog Perry, with us in the future, so go ahead and follow for more. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.